The next topic which we'll cover is exception handling. What is exception? When you execute your test scripts, many times your test execution is disrupted due to unexpected events or errors. These unexpected events may be from your application or your general test run errors. Because of these unexpected errors, your test script execution may not proceed forward. Now these errors or unexpected events are called as exceptions. Now there are different ways of handling exceptions. I have enlisted few of the ways in which you can handle exception, but before that we'll see few examples of exception. Now let's take an example of sample flight application. Now according to the flow, suppose we got this application and we have to test for the login, and then we have to book a flight and then log out. So there will be test cases for this. For example, we have to log in and then using a valid agent name and password, and then we have to book a flight for a particular date and time, and then we have to log out. Now this is the general positive test cases which is used to verify the functionality of the system. Now suppose in between what happens, our test script doesn't take password. It takes the input but it doesn't take the password, and it clicks on OK. The password is blank, that's why it won't take the password, and it clicks on OK. So what happens? We get a error message box, dialog box. Now this is something which we have not included in the code, and what QTP will do is, after in our normal login, after we enter the ID password, QTP will look for the flight reservation dialog window, and when it finds this window, then it will enter the date of flight, fly from, fly to. But in case of this, when the password is because the password is blank, the test won't move forward, and there is a message box. And we have not, if we have not handled this situation, then we face exception as discussed in the definition. So how to handle this exception? One thing you'll notice about this exception is it is predictable. I know that I can get these error messages in my login dialog. So what are the different kind of predictable error messages which I can get because of login? Now say for example, my agent name is blank and I am entering the password. So it will say please enter agent name. Now I have entered the agent name and there is successful login. Now in one of the case I am entering the agent name and keeping the password blank. So it will say please enter password. Now I'm entering the agent name as well as the password, but the agent name is less than 4 characters. So it will say agent name must be at least 4 characters long. Now one thing you'll notice that in all of these error boxes, dialog box, you'll see that the name is flight reservations. They all belong to the same class and they have same property. So once you capture this object in your object repository, then you can capture this message which you're getting in order to throw it to the user, so that the user knows that we are facing some kind of exception. So this is how we can handle exception through code. Now remember guys, exceptions can be handled through code if they are predictable, because we know at what part of the code this exception may occur. In our case, since we are logging in, we know that after we before we press the OK button, if it is not a normal login, we can get a certain error message box. And we also know what are the different types of messages which we can get. And we also have that suppose in case of 3 failed login, there is a message called as in case I'll enter some wrong password. So it will, in case of 3 failed login, it will say login unsuccessful, please try again later. So if you see, the object flight reservation is the same, although the messages inside it is varying based on different condition. So our task in order to capture the error will be to capture this object. Okay. So after 3 unsuccessful attempt, the dialog box will close. And also these are some of the messages which you can see. And also for wrong password we have a peculiar message that is incorrect password, please try again later. So as part of our testing, it could also be that we have to verify whether we are getting these messages during our execution, because it is very important that we should get these messages right. Suppose if the user is entering the username and some wrong password and the login is not happening, he should know why the login is not happening in the first place. So my system should be competent enough to display appropriate message, the reason why the login is not happening. So let's see how we can handle this exception. Now exceptions are the errors, but there's always a way to handle it so that our run doesn't fail.